wasting a bit of time here, but does dust up. They put a sentry now, and well, he does waste our sentry and doesn't actually die, so it's kind of good. But now arrow into the TP, he does cancel. I believe he would have made it.
It would have been very close, but yeah, kind of undoing a lot of the good work that he just did, as well as the fact that he used the TP as well, right? So now he has to walk all the way back through the lane.
It's a real shame. It's going to force Gabby to go for the very, very early meta. Not going to hold on to it at all. Jocam, of course, just going to harass him out anyway on that Terrorblade, even with that meta. You're right, by the way, when you pointed out that they may not want the Bloodseeker versus Terrorblade matchup. They don't. A Miracle is going to be up at that top lane with the Bane to deal with Gabby on that Terrorblade. I just don't think it's going to be an easy lane for this Terrorblade with the Bane around.
And I guess the good thing is here, when they're trying to do this lane cutting as well, Polyson's probably going to go down there. He has the arrow leveled up, so TnC dies.
In the process, and I mean, it's still a decent trade, I suppose, for TnC, but we're now KB. Feels a bit stuck here on this Darkseer. Should be alright.
I mean, he's a little lucky that Foreb didn't look that little bit further into the lane. He could have whacked him once and at least gotten rid of the clarity. He only had the one on him, and it would have delayed his farm a fair amount. But yeah, that's the good thing about this this Bloodseeker, right? You can just stand underneath the tower. You can take a lot of the damage. You can tank up the creep wave because you're always just going to be able to pop that Blood Rage on yourself and heal up.
Absolutely. Because looking over that one lane we haven't really seen yet, Armel is going to be up against In Your Dream. It does seem to favor the Ember through the laning matchup. So you're not really going to be able to do much to slow down Armel in this Ember, and he's always going to have that kind of advantage while going for those last hits. And we've seen this over and over again with In Your Dream. He does tend to fall behind in the CS war, but eventually does catch up in bot lane for it. Going to try and go on to TnC, does get the blood right off. TnC going to be able to swashbuckle away, but Foreb does have a bit of extra speed for himself, so can just chase him down. TnC is just going to make as much time as possible here, but ultimately will give up, and Foreb gets a very nice kill for himself.
Yep, straight back to the lane, not losing too much. The equilibrium working out for him, where wasn't sitting underneath the tower and just being denied through to those tower hits.
Very, very nice indeed for T1. KB, he's going to be forced to pull the wave away now, trying to find maybe behind this T1 tower, or maybe even just in front. But the thing with the Darkseer though, like you kind of want to dominate the lane with this hero, do you not? It doesn't really do amazing later on, I don't think.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the reason why they picked it, right? But with this style where they're going with the Bloodseeker, like we were saying before, you don't really care. You're not going to lose out on the regen war. Sure, having to use a few tangos for it, but a lot of that came from all of these teamfight contests that Forever.
Top lane, Miracle, going to be chased down now. March is there to shut some damage, but the Nightmare is... Oh, it was actually onto an illusion. Gabby took the Nightmare, but took it off himself with the illusion. But they weren't able to continue the chase onto Miracle. Luckily though, he is basically out of regen. He does
all those teamfight contests that Forever.
Top lane, Miracle, going to be chased down now. March is there. March is going to creep up on him with another Janata strike. He may not be able to sustain himself in this lane any longer.
Forever's playing this really well on the bottom side. You know, they're trying to get aggressive onto him with the Ion Shell onto TnC. We get a little bit lucky with the lucky shot. Let's slow him down enough for the Ion Shell damage to do its work. Sure, his career dies, but
may not be able to sustain himself.
He really needs it just yet. He can just continue. Have a good time.
Yeah, I mean, it was basically just his wand anyway. Not too big of a deal.
A little bit of a...
Nightmare is out from Jocam. He does have a mango for that level 2 brain sap, and March, yeah, sentry plays down. Jocam will happily take that kill. They might even spot out the other sentry in that tree line so they can go for the D-Ward, though no, they don't, and that Terrorblade Illusion is going to go for the D-Ward himself. Jocam just trying to race here to get the D-Ward first, and he does, off the back of that arrow that flew in from Polison.
Again, March dying right before that 5-minute mark, so it means that you've got Paulson able to keep up both of these bounties on the top side of the map. He TP's down to bot. He's going to interrupt KP. It just feels like T1's being so much more efficient with their movement, and he's even going to get the experience there from right next to KP when he goes down to the tier 3 tower.
It's just great plays from Team 1. They're just outplaying TnC in every way right now, it feels like. Apart from that mid matchup again, where Armel doing just fine, and well, they tried to go for a tornado arrow play, but the arrow was blocked by a creep, and Armel was out of range anyway for that. But, that's kind of the saving grace right now for TnC, it feels like. Just Armel, hopefully, for their sake, should be able to try and set a momentum or a pace for his team after this laning stage is over. So he's going to miss out on that haste rune now, so Paulson does secure an arrow, will not connect. Felt a bit close though, Armel, just a quick sidestep, will avoid it.
Still going to be a little difficult for him. I mean, we say it's going heavily in the... Oh, we're seeing some more aggression here on KP. It's going heavily in T1's favor, of course, on the kill feed, but in terms of the net worth, it's really only Forev sitting in front right now. I suppose another success coming through T1 is how farmed this Mirana is compared to the Pangolier. An extra 500 net worth. It's going to transition really good game.
That's for sure. They did end up actually TPing Gabby down at the bot lane now on the Terrorblade as well. So maybe KP making the call saying I can't deal with this Bloodseeker anymore. Gabby comes down, but now Jokam rotates as well. You've got Paulson there. Gabby could be in huge trouble. They do get the Nightmare, but KP does take the arrow. A great block. It is going to cost him his life, but it's well worth it if it gets Gabby out. And the question is, will it?
It's a big if. Like you said, he just TP'd down here, so there's not too many places he can run.
Oh, they found him as well. Even Tim's going to stick around. They rotate more over. Perez getting very low now on that Bloodseeker, but a great tornado out into the arrow. Armel, he's been stuck up. He does zone it out, but now the cold snap is there. I think they've got enough. He will still get out of there, but Perez now's on the chase. Armel trying to very far up, and the sleight of fist, but it will not be enough. Paulus had the final right click, and Perez is going to be able to run out of there just barely with his life intact. I can't say the same for Jokam, but that trade whatsoever if your team won.
No, absolutely not. And I suppose one little saving grace there for TnC, not that you want to see it, but their position 5, the Bounty Hunter, was just sitting up there farming the entire time on the top side. So he's actually going to get a decent timing on his level 6. He's already level 5, getting the soul experience underneath the tier 1 tower. Get bottled up here as well by the Spirit. Yeah, grabs a couple through here. He's going to be able to rotate, so sitting a little bit ahead of Jokam on the experience, but we, you know, that influence at that bottom team fight.
Absolutely, it's going to be important for March to have that 6-up ASAP. In fact, Armel mid lane going to get... It's going to take a bit of damage here. It'll be fine.
He's getting dived a little bit as well.
And he is. Did put the wall down for this, just chasing the illusion, but he's just fine. He's got the treads up. It's tanky enough, just runs away. But they do get the bottom tier 1 tower. And as far as I can tell, tier 1 aren't in a position to try and trade with that top tier 1. So it's going to be a positive trade coming out for TnC.
Will be. You've got this illusion with the ion shell on it as well, so Fred can't just easily walk up to it and deal with it. Tower's going to do that for him.
Absolutely. T1 maybe just feeling confident enough to just keep farming on Fred. He is, from what I can tell, he's going for a Blade Mail build first up into a Maelstrom, which seems perfectly fine in this kind of matchup. Perhaps they just wait that out. Like, Miracle is still free farming up the top lane as well. He's just got that Helm of the Dominator up and is just farming the jungle now. So, although you did lose that bottom T1, oh, she finds an Iron Talent to boot. That's gonna really help out the team quite a bit. But I think T1 is still getting everything they want. However, for Ev now, I thought he was getting jumped, but Moonlight Shadow's gonna kick in anyway. T1 runs hot.
They need to put all of their 3 of their heroes onto capping this outpost. They won't get it in time, no? Not opting for it, so... See, grabbing all that XP, really important as well. Like we were saying before, with this bounty hunter, he's agonizingly close to his level 6, only 30 XP away. That crit going down puts him 2 XP away, and now we'll have it. So they just want to be able to track everything that Frev's doing around this map while he makes these greedy plays.
They will now. Frev, going to throw a track out on, rather March is not going to throw a track on Frev yet. Maybe top lane, they might go for a fight. March, the Miracle is going to get chased down now with Tim's on that rolling thunder, but a great nightmare dodge out from Joker. Not going to help them with the change, but a great arrow now into the Eclipse. Armel, he will end up going down, and now Paulson's going to chase down Tim's. But that was just fantastic from Miracle, and Armel, he's not going to be feeling happy about that one.
I mean, I think, again, Paulson setting up so much in these team fights, right? Locking down the elusive Ember Spirit. He still had 2 Fire Remnants available, so he would have been out there if there was anything other than a 4-second stun on him.
Absolutely.
Tower is under attack.
Tim's now just can't do much to defend this tower. He's just going to have to let it go down. Instead, they'll try and start pressuring that mid-tier one a little bit with KP's Darkseer. Does have the helm of the Dominator up himself, but Paulson is going to be there to defend, and of course he gives him the tip as well, as KP just couldn't actually get the creep onto that Mirana. Dokkan thought about going for a Phoenix Whip there, but doesn't. Now bot lane, Rupture is going to come out on March, but he'll TP out in time before that arrow flies through. Eventually both teams are just going to have to back off.
It's essentially the limiting factor on March right now is, does Forev have this this Rupture available? Because otherwise he can just continue to make plays. He's making a lot of space, and you can see the rest of his team's coming back into it. It's second on net worth. Gabby, for what it's worth, is rotate through to that tri-camp relatively well. As soon as you hit that level 5, you're always going to have that capability.
Keep up this net worth lead he does have in the turret lane. It's going to be very, very important for the side of TnC, as kind of feels like they're going to be putting all their eggs in the Gabby basket. They'll just let him try and farm up that Manta now. By the time he has that Manta up, he should be ready to try and join in these team fights. A little bit.
That was the plan last time around, though, and it didn't work out all too well for them. Not having a lot more of an even spread of contributors, with In Your Dream being the focal.
That is very, very true. Mid lane, TnC going to rotate up. They do have the Iron Shot there with Armel, but a quick Nightmare out now from Jocam. Will be placed, but doesn't really do much. Jocam still running away. Now turning around for the Fiend's Grip. He is going to go down regardless, though. Now Tim's going to go for that Rolling Thunder with the double chains out from Armel. They have plenty of control. March will die, but so will Miracle. Now perhaps even finding Forev. So no, In Your Dream, he gets in there with the Tornado again. This time Paulson doesn't connect with the arrow. They will chain him up. They'll take him down as well. T1, nice little rather TnC, a nice little team fight, and now the mid T1 tower going to go down very fast.
Radiant's middle tower.
Yeah, doing nicely to cut off a point of escape there with the wall of replica by KP on his Darkseer, and Gabby just rotating through at the exact right time. Benefit of fighting around this tier 1 mid tower when you're just contesting this tri-camp. It's not too far of a trek to be able to try and make something happen. Nicely done by them. March did tank up a few of those tower hits himself, so probably could have played that a little better, but I'm sure that would have been one of his cores, taking the damage otherwise.
Because that does actually allow Armel to get ahead of Miracle now in terms of net worth, just by a little bit. So that's going to be a nice feeling there for the side of TnC. So Armel is very close to also finishing off that full Maelstrom, and does get a nice Arcane Rune in the bottle now, so they may be willing to just go for more team fight once he has some remnants up. T1 just not feeling the same way quite yet. I mean, you do have Forev there with the Blade Mail, but he just doesn't really seem to be hitting hard enough or being able to do much in the team fights there, especially while Gabby does have the meta up. TnC, they've gone into the Radiant Triangle now, just looking up towards that top lane where In Your Dream has shown it on the map. And they're going to rush in. Remnants forward, but Dust is there for the Ghost War. Now Tim's going to roll in Thunder. They still have vision on that Invoker, but they just can't quite get it. Now they do it at the start. They have lost March again, however. In your dream, Nightmare going to save this for it. Does come in, and now the Eclipse as well. But they do get the Invoker kill. They do kill off Jocam. They'll lose Armel in the process to the Eclipse. But now KB, he'll also be chased down on that Darkseer. Can they burst him down? It looks like they probably can. Bloodbright will not connect. KB still running with the surge for Paulson. He will have enough damage. And ultimately that does still seem to favor the side of T1.
Bottom tower.
A little bit, but I believe there were 2 track kills that actually got off in that team fight. So a little bit of extra money going the way of TnC from that. And well, when we considered before, it was sitting at what, like an 8-2 start? Yeah, a lot more healthy now that it's 13-7.
That it does. Always tend to forget about those track kills. March, of course, just throwing them out before he did go down.
Really helpful to have against this Quaswex Invoker as well. Obviously wanting to use that Ghost Walk to maximum effectiveness. Has finally put the 1 point into the Exort, so wanting to be able to turn around and throw the Deafening Blast into this TB in particular.
Be important. It's also just trying to finish off that Spirit Vessel now, the Invoker. To get that added kind of bonus of control. Gabby is already working towards a BKB though, and does have the Manta up now.
They're going on for Miracle here. Rotation on the top side. Jocam spotted out.
Jocam will Nightmare. Of course, he will just take the gank for his carry. They decide to take care of the Bane rather than chasing down Miracle on that Luna. The Armel might find him anyway. In fact, he does run in with a haste crew. Miracle, can you get out? Chains, not really going to land there onto the Luna.
Is under attack.
Your dream had rotated up just in case. TnC, they'll still be able to try and pressure the tier 1 top tower anyway.
Yeah, I think they'll do a pretty good job at it. You've got obviously KP here who can just keep it pushed out, just plop that Hellbear Smasher in between the tier 1 and the tier 2, put the Iron Shell on top of him, and it's going to be pretty easy, but they're making a Moonlight Shadow rotation through here with all of tier 1.
They are. Jocam, he has the Fiend's Grip. Nightmare going to be there onto Armel. He's going to be taken off by the illusion of the Terrorblade. Jocam just held on to that Fiend's Grip, now thinking about Gabby, but doesn't end up going for it. Instead, will brains up the Dominating Creep. Now they'll try to Polison. TnC are willing to try and fight. Perez will jump on him. Still, Fiend's Grip is now going to come out. They need to cancel it off ASAP, but with the vacuum, they can do so. Now they're rolling Thunder, controlling up Perez. Even in your dream, getting caught out there with Miracle, but his team is nowhere near it. So they aren't able to capitalize off that rolling thunder. Instead, back onto Paulson, who will end up going down to Armel. The TnC, they're still winning these little engagements, and well, the track kills are starting to add up.
Yeah, they are. They got off 4 different tracks in that fight for, I believe, 3 kills. So real handy to pick that up for TnC. Just keep going.
Away there, track is out. Can they secure the kill? No. He will get away. Now Tim's going to try and TP, but Lucent Beam will cancel that. They'll try to punish the side of TnC here. Nightmare out now onto KP. Dust as well from In Your Dream, I believe. And well, KP will try and surge away, but a nice Deafening Blast will not be quite enough. He's just going to make a run for it, but Lucent Beam will be enough to secure the kill. So they do at least punish TnC a little bit after that disastrous start T1 had.
Yeah, I think just overstaying their welcome, right? Gabby, he had finished his metamorphosis. He wasn't in a position to continue pressuring that tower while they made all these plays happen around the Radiant Tri-Camp. The one thing I like from TnC that they did quite well in that team fight is obviously you're going to want to have some detection for March, right? So even though they Moonlight Shadowed into them and tried to make the aggressive plays happen, March waited until the team fight began to put this vision up next to the Radiant Secret Shop. It's only now been dewarded, but throughout that entire, 2-minute engagement, they had complete vision, both Sentry and Observer Ward, just because you can't deal with them at the same time.
Absolutely. T1, I kind of wonder what the game plan is here now. Like, they're just 1k net worth behind. They're still trying to farm up that Manta Style on Miracle. So he's getting close, but it's been taking a while.
Only just pinged out the outposts as well, so you can see they're making a play for it now with Forev walking. Smoke as well is up. At best, it's just going to be a 1-for-1 trade, so T1 are going to be pretty happy with that. The fact that you know Forev isn't making play around the map right now. He's just sitting on the bottom side of the map. Sure, he's going to be able to munch on these illusions, but he spawned before he has the...
You got one of them. It is definitely a nice feeling knowing the Bloodseeker is not really being active. And I wonder though, like Forev, does he need to be active this game?
I think with his itemization, absolutely. As soon as he gets this BKB, if he is not roaming around the map trying to make plays happen with this Blade Mail and BKB, there's something seriously wrong.
We have a bounty being sent now onto the bounty hunter. Mark's gonna have to watch his back. Joe Cam also gonna have to watch his back. He jumps on though. Nice tornado again. Nightmare is there, but they will cancel that thanks to KB. Paulson does get an arrow off of the TnC, and that will slow down any other form of chase that they were going for, but with that Bane down now, TnC going to be feeling very confident to try and go for some kind of objective. That objective is going to be the Roshan, it seems.
Yeah, oh, they actually hit the arrow onto the real TB. They haven't popped the Metamorphosis, and finally do. They've got Bane back up in 5 seconds though, so maybe a little bit delayed the decision to do that.
Absolutely. The Bloodlight's going to make it a bit hard. Mel's going to jump in. Rupture is there onto the Ember, but he is still going after Paulson. Plenty of damage here from T1, but they need to run for now. They will just Nightmare up March, so he can't chase a Miracle. How is he up on that cliff? Oh no, he's backing up to the top cliff. And now Gabby...
His own illusion's killing him.
His own illusion is indeed killing him on that cliff. Joe Cam also getting caught out. He couldn't stop it. Oh, KP and I believe it was TnC. TnC knocked him up the first time. KP brings him a step higher the second time with the vacuum.
Some nice team fights taking place at the back end of this Metamorphosis. Gabby's able to just continue whacking away at it. They actually land the arrow onto this Panko. He might go down.
Yeah, TnC, he will die. Forev now needs to go in. Roshan is getting lower and lower. Gabby's still trying to go for it, but now the Tornado Bloodlight is there. He is very low in HP. He needs the Manta, but no, he doesn't get it off in time. So now they can really go for the chase. March has been caught out. He tries to Shuriken toss, but he will die and down. He will be claimed by Paulson down. Oh, the Roshan is so low. KP's going to try to do something. So what can he do?
He can't do anything, and he's resigned himself to that fact. Maybe if he saw that Centaur Conqueror a little sooner, could have used the Helm of the Dominator, surge it in, get the stun off, maybe deny up the Aegis, but that's wishful thinking.
That it is. With that, TnC, I mean, they had a decent net worth lead going for themselves, but now it's basically evened out. That age is going to make T1 feel a lot more confident in this game, and on top of that, they do find the Darkseid with Nightmare. But he'll block the pathing with his dominated creep, so Arrow does come in later on from Paulson and get it anyway. It's constant gold coming in for this support Mirana. That's you can kind of tell by the net worth that Paulson has as that pos for Mirana. He's been finding quite a few of those dominated creeps, so it's 200 gold every single time he arrows one. What a Voidstone. What is Paulson going for? Assault Crest? Oh, it is the yours. Okay. Now you've got the setup for that arrow.
Saw it a few times in that game one, I think. To set up to combine together with the rest of his team. Able to do it solo as well is going to be real handy.
Chains off going in. There's that Yule's kicking in though. Paulson will just Moonlight Shadow now with his team. Might try and bait them back around, but TnC are just trying to run. There'll be a surge away, but Nightmare is there on the Bane. KP took off the arrow, even though March took it. Now the EMP going out, and they just burst them down with the Eclipse. March will also...
Well, they found the real TB illusion.
Yeah, the Fiend's Grip is going to be there. Gabby will be cancelled off. Tim's trying to help him out. Gabby, can you man-fight up against everyone? Oh no, he's back in there. They do get Miracle and Joe Cam. Now Forev trying to fight back, but they've got to deal with the Terrorblade, and he is hitting way too hard. However, Armel might die here. Bloodrite coming in, Sunstrike as well. Armel will die. Of course, not willing to buy back at the moment. Pulse will be chased down, however. TnC still trying to fight this out. They do have Sunder available on Gabby. There is an arrow flying in. Gabby trying to run down. He needs to turn up for that Sunder. But a great Manta dodge coming out. Miracle. No, it won't be enough. He does get taken out. He will go down to 75. They also find In Your Dream. They do lose Gabby in the end. But that's the best you could have asked for if you were TnC.
Yeah, to take that sort of trade, get those 2 kills at the very end of it, and there's a dieback actually onto at the end there. So he's going to be off, not putting pressure on the map for the exact same time as this Terrorblade, and neck and neck MLP. I think if you have a look at the win probability, it's sitting dead on 50% right now, only just slightly eking in favor of TnC, but that kill will push.
It's at 49% now, so I think it's slowly creeping its way back up, but I do love myself a close game. And I have to agree with Dota Plus for once. It is a very, very close game. Is Nightmare going to be there on Armel now? Forever in with the Bloodrite. I don't believe they'll have the damage. Sunstrike will miss, and now you definitely don't have the damage. However, yeah, KP will come in just in case. Let's say both teams are looking pretty good going into this thus far. They're still very far ahead in terms of net worth, and we saw that last team fight. Even if his team is falling around him, he can still just fight back by himself. I think that's the one real concern here for T1, is they've got to try and focus down that Terrorblade though, bot lane. Polison gets an arrow onto Tim's, but won't have any follow-up for it.
One thing I really like about how TnC go about things is Tim's and KP in particular. They are really good at saving their spells to protect Gabby. Like, it is a clear directive from their team play and their strategy that Gabby is the one that's going to end the game for them. It's going to put them in a winning position to win the game. We saw it last time around with KP playing that Legion Commander, getting a lot of great saves off with the ult to spell. Tim's, though, might be putting himself in a vulnerable position.
He did, he got arrowed. Paulson took the easy arrow.
And this time as well, like, even though it was a really great Fiend's Grip from Jokam onto the real TB after he'd BKB'd, Tim's was just in the perfect place to get the Rolling Thunder off afterwards, so that it was really only active for about 1 or 2 seconds.
No, I certainly agree. They have been doing a great job of keeping Gabby alive.
The tower is under attack.
Now TnC want to try and maybe get aggressive again. Surge up on Armel, but he's not going to go too far down. Do have a nice observer ward on that cliff, but don't want to risk anything at the moment. They do have Forev, however, pushing the top lane, finding that tier 2 top tower, and so maybe now they go for the fight, and they do. They'll jump on Jokam, but a great tornado out. Still Armel should have the control. The Bane is going to be in huge trouble, and Jokam does die. Rupture on KP. They'll buy back. KP very low with that rupture, but will stand his ground. They'll turn around, trying to go onto that dominating creep, and also the Invoker in your dream, falling low. A good finish rip now onto the Tim's Pangoliers, but eventually they will go onto Bane again. Tim's has died, but they got in your dream, and now a great
hasn't ulted yet.
From KP. He hasn't ulted yet. No, you are correct. The Eclipse is still there. Miracle. He does pop it now. It might have been too late though. They just kind of kited out. And they're going to chase him down. Armel gets the chains off. We'll get the Ghost Scepter off in time, but it's not going to help.
All about that decision. I mean, they committed the buyback on the Bane. They used the Rupture, and they take a team fight in a relatively closed area, but maybe the Great Wall coming through from KP, wanting to dissuade him for it, realizing that those replica illusions are going to tank up a lot of the Eclipse shots.
Perhaps it probably wasn't the case. In fact, it's not like he has an Ags or anything on that Luna. It's just a bit of a shame though. You didn't really get it off the prime time, and well, now Tornado's going to come in your dreams. Going to try and delay this push as much as possible. Buy time for your force to be back up. However, Armel going to jump in, decides better of it. Nice vacuum from KB. That repair kit is making it impossible for them to get through that tier 3 tower, and it's bought enough time for Jokam to be back up, and they won't even bother. They'll just get out of there.
Just straight disgusting. The fact that a single repair kit is able to repel 5 heroes along with a couple of wall of replica illusions against 2 enemy heroes.
It's so stupid. Like, it's my most hated neutral item. It just makes no sense. Still, JoCam can't really want to. You don't really want to die.
In again.
Yeah, he just fought back. I guess his respawn time is pretty low anyway. He's really only level 11.
That was old.
Well, TnC, they might continue pressuring this bottom tier 3 a little bit. Maybe try and force out another repair kit usage as the tier 3 is quite low. Paulson does have the repair kit again. Yeah, Gabby's going to force it. There you go. Back off we go.
Actually gets used up, not wanting to waste it before the creep wave got there, wanting to take as maximum advantage out of that backdoor protection as you could. They've got the use here onto the Darkseer, but I think he's in a position to die.
Tim just takes the arrows every single time he needs to. KP has the Guardian Greaves as well, so you've got some nice sustain there on TnC, just in case they want to try and capitalize off that arrow stun.
Miracle here, he's moved into the Tri-Camp area, one of the few places that they feel somewhat safe, and he's getting very, very close. It actually just hits his level 18, so that Eclipse is going to be maximized next time around, and that'll cause him to perhaps be a bit more readily using his...
Is that a thing though, this Ethereal Blade build on Luna? Like, I mean, you've already got 2 BKBs up on TnC.
The rune of invisibility.
I'm kind of like looking at it being like, is it not too late? We're almost 30, yeah, we're 31 minutes in now.
No, he's in a vulnerable position as well.
Yeah, chained up, he'll mantra it off, but they're going to make the chase down. And JoCam's the only one who can help, but he needs to do something with Fiend's Grip because there's BKBs. He doesn't, and now that'll mean he's also going to die. And, well, really, there was no way out of that situation for either of them.
Way out at all, and they're keen to try and make something happen here on T1. Surely not. It's just about pushing the wave out so that you're not losing too much map control here. I think with the Lunar, it just needs to be understood about the state of the game, right? Like the way that they lane this, they put Forev into the bot side. He's the highest on net worth on the team, and he's the one that's really doing a lot of the attack damage this time around. So it's about being able to sustain yourself for as long as possible now on this Luna. Sure, if you can get off some right clicks, it's great, but that's not going to be the bulk of your damage that's coming out. So it's really a lot of faith being put into Forev and see what he's been able to do with it. They've only got a 5k deficit, so it's not the end of the world, but it's still going to be rough.
Definitely will be. Tier 2 mid-town going to be very easily taken out. Even March now having a Soul Crest up, really speed things up there with Gabby. That's all out of tower's gone, and if my count is correct, it's only 1 repair kit charge left. So, well, Gabby, he's going to go ahead and get himself up a butterfly now. So his damage and sustain's even higher. I believe they are going to just try and go for the next Roshan soon.
Let's back up. That cheese is going to be extra handy as well. Stand that little bit of extra time and fight, although like TnC realize that they've got the edge so far in this game. They don't have buyback though on the TB, so maybe that'll influence their decision to play for this.
We will. Gabby needs about 2k worth of gold for that buyback, and it'll be a while. But they do go near the Roshan pit. There'll be a Lincoln Sphere now coming out on Armel as well. Yeah, they'll start it. We did see this before though, with the first Roshan. They did end up losing to T1, and it was somewhat detrimental at the time. So they really don't want to do that again. They'll try and take it quick, but they're not popping meta.
Comes the the Moonlight Shadow coming through. They know what's going on.
It connected on the real Gabby again. Still, Paulson gonna pop the Greaves, just trying to get away from those chains. Armel gonna have his Lincolns pop. Now JoCam does go for the Nightmare. That may be the start. Still, no, TnC. They're back for that Roshan. Now leaving it, smoking back up.
Split dagger used by Tim is really good.
Yeah, they're going up to JoCam now. Forever trying to back off. JoCam still surviving somehow. He should ultimately just die, and Armel does clean him up. that should be enough for TnC to be able to get back to that Roshan pit. So Gabby runs up the cliff. Sunder is there. Miracle, he's in big trouble. He popped the Eclipse, but the BKB was there. And Gabby gives him the tip straight away. And now it's definitely back to the Roshan.
Didn't even have to pop the Metamorphosis for it to happen either. So big win coming through for TnC there. We saw a little bit of harkening back to TI days where it was OG that we saw it do the most, where they just popped the Surge onto the Alchemist and ran him face first into the middle of a team fight.
Right it was. In your dream, gonna find March at least. A nice little dust out there on some March. Your dream gonna be able to secure that kill, but now TnC rolling thunder. You don't really want to lose this core in BTS for the sake of a plus 5 bounty. Tornado, he's just trying to run out of this one. Bloodright going to come in for it. He's going to try and help out his teammates. But he's still falling low. Now a great back four coming in from KB. And in your dream, he will die. He may have also put forever and get him in a awkward position here. He has an eruption left. He'll try to BKB and run. Tim's swashbuckling 3. Will he have time? Tim's, can you guess where he is? Not quite. He goes the wrong way. Nice juke out from forever.
Yeah, I was thinking perhaps that BKB usage coming out a little bit late does end up with him surviving, but what's the cost going to be? Joke just gets melted one more time. This poor Bane.
Didn't realize the rats were happening right now. Gabby going after that final million barracks in the bot lane. However, nice arrow coming up. You do still have the Aegis there, and they might get it though. No, Gabby pops the BKB. Sunstrike, not going to be on point. Connects on to KB there, and now Paulson back in with the arrow, but Arnold pops his BKB. Gabby does get a sun drop on the Lunar Illusion. Now a nice back in for him is going to die, and so does Miracle. They do have buybacks, but it's a hard defense to ask for down this bot lane. But if they don't buy back, TnC may keep going to the mid.
I think maybe just wanting to get them to overcommit a little bit, wait for a few of these BKBs to come back up online for T1. Play there. You can see Joe Cammy used his buyback and was so anxious about wanting to get the perfect Fiend's Grip off, but again, Tim's just holding off on this Rolling Thunder means that he's in danger of using it.
Paulson falling very low as well. Oh, Joe Cammy, he can't die right now. Chaos Meteor, Nightmare, no, it's not going to help. He dies back. 70 seconds on the respawn timer. They need that Fiend's Grip so desperately, but it's going to be an even harder defense now.
Yeah, no more repair kits remaining either. The last one being used on the melee racks that ended up falling anyway. So the glyph, the last little bit of defense that they've got on TnC, oh sorry, against TnC. Gabby, he's still got that Aegis, still has the BKB.
Back in, Paulson should be able to lead out, but he's been slowed, and no, they don't care about the Mirana. They just want the final lane of rats. Gabby still has the Aegis, is just running out of time with that Aegis soon enough, I'm sure. Forev goes for a Rupture onto Armel, and now the Sunstrike does end up killing off that TB1. You've got Tim's rolling in, however, controlling up the backlines. In fact, Miracle, he might just die here. Tim's, he's going for it. He will go form up, and will be okay, and Tim's does die in the end, and now TnC just trying to kite out, but they may go back in. They have meta back up in 10 seconds, and they also have that BKB on Gabby as well as the Sunder. Not to mention that Daedalus. Armel, BKB TP should be fine. T1 still chasing, trying to go after some stragglers, but you might find KP, maybe even March there if you realize he's in this. KP will be the target. Gabby is around the corner now, popping the meta in your dream. Does not want to die. That Daedalus damage though. 1.3k worth of crits.
That Daedalus damage and being able to attack and siege from a much larger range now that he's hit that level 25. Hasn't gone for the Sunder cooldown. How important it is just to sit back and let the rest of his team do the work. Tim's, to his credit, is doing a fantastic job putting all the attention onto him.
Joseph, no. Oh, he goes down on the way out. Gabby, he's going back straight in. He's rushing T4s. Why not? So much damage on this terribly. It looks like this game might be over. They aren't going to defend at T1.
No, and Rev, he's got a TP, but he's only just coming back now.
Oh, Hollison, he has to survive. Blood is going to be nice, but they are melting. Oh, it's not even close now. Gabby, he's got Falcon diving. Why not? Forever. He's just trying to BKB and survive. He can't. And that'll be GG. So it does end up in a draw at least. And it doesn't really mean much for TnC, but they do at least get the win at the end of this series.
They do. And that means that they'll be finishing up in, I believe, 6th place out of this 10-team league. So in one of the home spots, I suppose you can call it, up against, well, it should be T1, right? Going into playoff brackets. So
Where are you going?
Acts like this very much.
First blood.
First blood, the first celestial rays. That truck down. Sustains gold remains.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack. Dire's middle tower is under attack. Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
power.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack. Radiant's top tower is under attack.
This will hasten my footfalls.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack. Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
The sprites are with us. Dire are scanning. Radiant's bottom tower is under attack. Radiant's top tower is under attack. Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
That should help. A bubble from the
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack. Dire's structures are fortified. Radiant's bottom tower is falling.
agents of the void.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack. Dire's top tower is under attack. Radiant's middle tower is under attack. Radiant's bottom tower is under attack. Dire's top tower is under attack. Radiant's bottom tower is under attack. Radiant structures are fortified. Dire's top tower Radiant's bottom tower is under attack. Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
Who's the good dude,
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
Acts like this very much. Acts like this very much. Acts like this very much.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
Meatball! 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 Meatball!
Radiant's middle tower has been denied. Radiant are scanning.
Meatball!
middle tower is under attack. Radiant's top tower is under attack. Radiant's top tower is falling. Radiant's top tower is under attack. Radiant structures are fortified. Radiant's middle tower is under attack. Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
Monster kill!
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack. Radiant's bottom tower is falling.